The abductionist was a quiet night in space. David Ross, a human engineer, floated alone inside his small repair ship. He was fixing a broken satellite near the edge of the Mars orbit. The stars around him were calm. There was no sound, no sign of danger, just another job in the silence of space. He finished the repair, closed his toolbox, and stretched his arms. Finally done, he said, smiling. Time to go home. He turned to his ship's control panel and reached for the return button. But then, everything changed. A strange blue light appeared outside his window. It was bright, but not like any star or spacecraft he had seen before. It moved fast. Very fast. Before David could even react, the light surrounded his ship. Warning. Unknown energy detected, his computer said in a robotic voice. The ship shook. Lights flickered. David grabbed the control stick, trying to stabilize the craft. What the hell is this? He shouted then dash darkness when David opened his eyes. He was no longer inside his ship. He was floating again, but this time in a different kind of space. A strange room. The walls were soft, glowing with green and silver lights. Everything around him looked alien. He couldn't move his arms or legs. He wasn't tied, but it felt like invisible hands were holding him in place. He was weightless, like in zero gravity. Where am I? He whispered. Then a voice answered. You are safe, human. Do not be afraid. David looked around, heart pounding. He saw her, an alien figure standing in front of him. She was tall, elegant, and glowing. Her skin was pale blue, with patterns, like stars moving across it. Her eyes were large and silver, without pupils. She wore no armor, no weapons, but her presence was powerful. Who are you? David asked, struggling to speak. I am a mother, she said softly. And my child is dying. David blinked. What? You are the one who can help, the alien mother said. You are human. Your kind is known to fix what others cannot. Machines, systems, life. David's mind raced. He was just a mechanic and engineer, not a doctor. I think you made a mistake, he said. I fix metal, not aliens. The alien woman stepped closer. No mistake. I watched you, studied you. You can fix more than, David felt a strange warmth in his head, like something was reading his thoughts. His memories. I do not want to hurt you, she said. But my child has no time left. David swallowed hard. Why me? Because I will give you anything you want, she said, her voice breaking. Fix my child, and I will give you any pleasure you desire. Anything, power, knowledge, freedom, just save my child. David stared at her, unsure if he was dreaming or going crazy. Then a new sound filled the room, a soft cry. David turned his head and saw the alien child. It floated in a small pod behind a transparent wall. The child was small, thin, and glowing. Dimly, its skin was cracked, and strange pulses of light flickered in its chest. Its eyes were closed, and its breathing was weak. The sight broke something in David. It didn't matter that the child was alien. It was a child. What's wrong with it? He asked quietly. We do not know, the mother said. No one from my world can understand, but I saw what your people do. You create, you repair. You saved your own kind from death. Perhaps you can save mine. David looked again at the sick child. Something about it made him feel responsible. Chosen. Afraid. Yes, but also curious. He didn't trust the alien woman. But he felt something else, deep inside, the need to help. I need tools, scanners, data. He said, You shall have them, she replied. David slowly nodded. Okay, I'll try. The alien mother reached out her hand. Not touching, just hovering close. Thank you, human, she whispered. Thank you. As David floated toward the child's pod, one question still echoed in his mind. Why me, and what was he about to discover? David couldn't breathe, not because there was no air. The alien ship was keeping him alive, but because what he was looking at wasn't just strange. It was impossible. The child floated inside a glass-like pod, surrounded by glowing fluids and humming machines. Its body looked delicate, thin arms, small hands, and strange blue veins pulsing with light. But something else was there. Something that didn't belong. David leaned closer. He had seen a lot in his years working space repairs. Machines broken in strange ways. Damaged robots. Even alien wreckage. But this child was part organic. Part something else. The alien mother stood behind him, watching silently. Her hands were clenched, her face calm, but her eyes showed pain. I gave you access to our ship's med tools, she said. Scan it. Try. David hesitated, then nodded. He pressed a few glowing buttons on a floating tablet the ship had provided. A soft blue light scanned the child's body. As it moved across the chest, the scanner beeped. Red warning. Unknown object detected. What is this? David asked, pointing at the screen. There's something inside. Your child's chest. The alien mother stepped closer. She looked at the scan and her face changed. Her calm mask cracked. No. She whispered. That should not be there. David stared at her. You didn't know about this? I thought it was part of the illness, she said slowly. We could not identify it. Our healers gave up. David zoomed in on the scan. The object looked like a crystal, shaped like a tiny diamond. It was connected to the child's nerves, not natural. Not part of the body, it was embedded inside. This isn't a disease, David said. Someone put this in your child. The alien mother looked away. Her breathing grew heavy. That's impossible, she said. My child has never left my care. Never. No one would harm it. David wasn't so sure. He stared again at the screen. The crystal wasn't just sitting there. It was active, sending pulses, signals. Something was happening, deep inside the child. Is it technology? The mother asked, her voice shaking. David nodded. Yes, and it's not broken. It's working like a transmitter. Transmitter? She repeated, sending a signal. David's mind raced. Why would an alien child have a transmitter? Inside their body? And more important, who was it sending signals to? I need to examine it further, David said. This might be what's making your child sick. No, the alien mother shouted suddenly. You must not touch it. David took a step back. The mother's body was glowing now, her eyes fierce. Her voice echoed unnaturally. You are here to heal, not to investigate, she said sharply. David felt cold. The friendly tone was gone. Now she sounded like a commander. Or a guard. I thought you wanted me to fix her, he said carefully. I do, she said, softer now. But only what is broken, that is not yours to touch. David nodded slowly. All right. But if you really want me to save your child, you'll have to trust me. Silence. Then the mother turned away. Do what you can, but no more questions. She vanished through the wall. David stood alone. He looked back at the child. Its eyes were half open now. It stared at him, weak but aware. And then, without sound, one tear rolled down its glowing cheek. David clenched his fists. He wasn't just fixing a sick body. He was walking into a secret much deeper than he'd thought. And he had a feeling this child wasn't just a patient thought, it was a message. David couldn't sleep. Not that sleep was easy inside an alien ship, but even if he tried, his mind wouldn't let him rest. That strange thing inside the child's chest kept playing in his thoughts like a silent alarm. A device, not a disease. Not a birth defect. Something placed inside the child. Something alive, or at least awake. The alien mother had told him to stop asking questions. But David wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He was caught in something bigger. He looked at floating scan again. The object glowed faintly, a tiny crystal shape, pulsing with soft energy. Buried deep inside the child's chest. It had wires, living wires that connected to the nervous system. It was feeding off the child's life, or controlling it. David whispered to himself, that's not part of anybody. That's the transmitter. He needed more information. The next morning, or whatever passed as morning on this ship. David entered the healing chamber again. The alien child floated peacefully in its pod. Still sick, still silent, but this time the child opened its eyes and looked directly at him. David froze. The child's eyes were silver and glowing. But there was something in them. Fear, confusion, maybe even a message. He stepped closer and whispered, "Can you understand me?" No reply, but the child blinked. Slowly. "Yes." David's heart jumped. He opened his toolkit quietly. Not to touch the device. Not yet. Just to scan it more deeply. Without alerting the alien mother, he pulled out a small human-made scanner. An old tool, but trusted. He aimed it at the pod, at the device. Beep. Then warning. Active signal detected. David's screen showed something terrifying. The device was not only sending signals. It had just received one. From outside the ship, David's hands trembled. Who was listening? He tapped into the scanner log and saw symbols. Patterns. A language he didn't know. But it wasn't random. It was talking to something. And that something had just answered back. Suddenly, the door opened. The alien mother walked in. Her face calm, but her eyes sharper than before. "What are you doing?" she asked softly. David, hiding his scanner behind his back, just running a check, monitoring her pulse. The mother walked to the pod, looked at the child, then at him. "There is something you are not saying." David hesitated. He knew telling the truth might end this. But lying was dangerous too. So he chose a middle path. "There's a device inside her," he said. "It's active. And it might be what's hurting her." The mother stared at the pod. She didn't look surprised this time. "I know," she said quietly. David blinked. "You knew?" "I lied," she said. "Not to harm you, but to protect her and myself." David stepped back. "Protect from what?" The alien mother looked up at him. For the first time, he saw fear in her powerful face from the ones who created that device. The ones who watched through it, the ones who want her back. David's blood ran cold. "Back? You mean she's not just your child?" "She is mine by choice," the mother said, "but not by creation. She was born in a lab, made for a purpose. That purpose is not peace." David looked at the child again. So innocent, so weak. Yet deep inside her, a secret lived. A signal. A weapon, maybe. "She's a transmitter," he whispered. "Or worse, a trigger." The alien mother nodded slowly. "I stole her from them. I ran far, but they are still looking. And now they may have found us again." David felt the weight of the truth crash down on him. He wasn't just here to fix a child. He was sitting on top of a war. David wasn't alone anymore. He could feel it. A presence. Watching him. Listening. Not in the room. Not in the ship, but somewhere out there. Connected through the child. It started with a whisper in his head. A soft voice. No language. Just emotion. Fear. Pain. Warning. The alien child had become more silent and more alert. Her eyes followed David's every move. She didn't speak, but he could feel her thoughts like echoes in his skull. He checked the scanner. Again, the strange crystal was still pulsing, still active. But now the signal had changed. It was stronger and aimed at Earth. He rushed to the alien mother, heart pounding. She stood in a dark control room, hands folded behind her back, staring out a wide window into deep space. "We need to talk," David said. She didn't turn. He scanned it again. "I did," he replied. "The device inside her, it's not just a tracker. It's targeting my home, my planet." "I know." Her voice was flat. Cold. David stepped forward. "You told me you wanted help." "You said you would give me anything." "I did," she said. Then she turned. Her eyes were not silver now. They were red. "You promised to fix my child," she said. "That is still the deal." David's hands curled into fists. "If I fix her, and that device stays inside, she could call down something terrible. You said you were running. From who? What is she really?" The alien mother walked slowly toward him. She was made by a machine race. she said. A forgotten empire. Cold, silent, deadly. They create children like her to carry pieces of their mind, seeds of their return. David's voice shook. You're telling me she's a weapon? No, the mother whispered. She's the key to their next invasion. The room fell silent. Only the hum of alien machines echoed in the background. David looked back toward the healing chamber where the child floated in the pod. She didn't look like a threat. She looked like a little girl. But inside her, a signal was counting down. He turned back to the mother. Then why bring me here? Why let me see this? Because I love her, she said. She is not like the others. She is waking up, becoming more than what they made. I believe she can choose. Choose what? David asked. To live as herself. Or to finish what they started. David felt the weight of a world on his shoulders. And if I refuse? If I walk away? The mother stepped closer. Then she said the words that made his blood run cold. If you refuse, Earth will be the first to burn. For a moment, David couldn't. Move got his mind raced. He had no weapons. No army, just his hands. His tools. And a broken child who might be a ticking bomb. But maybe, just maybe, he could fix more than her body. He looked up at the alien mother, anger burning in his eyes. You want me to fix her? Fine, I will. But not for your deal. Not for pleasure. Not for threats. I'll fix her, he said. Because if she's the key to destruction, maybe she can also be the key to saving everything. The child smiled, just for a second, and that one small smile changed everything inside David. Ross thought it wasn't a machine smile, that it wasn't programmed, thought it was real, thought it was human. He sat alone in his temporary room aboard the alien ship. No walls, just soft light, no doors, just shifting energy. His mind was racing. His heart beat louder than the hum of alien engines. The scans were clear now. The device inside the child was waking up. And with it, something far worse was coming. David had traced the signal's path. It had already reached. Deep space. And something had responded. Something huge. I'm not just fixing a child. He whispered to himself. I am standing between her and the end of Earth. He pulled out the small human scanner he'd hidden in his jumpsuit. His last piece of Earth technology. Its battery was low, but it still worked. He plugged it into the alien systems when no one was watching. He started recording everything. Data, signals, ship logs. He even hacked a private comm channel. Dangerous, yes. But he had to do it. He had to get a message back to Earth. Then came the real surprise. The child spoke again. This time, not in whispers, but his language. Are you afraid? David jumped. She had never spoken so clearly. He looked at her, through the glass of the healing pod. Her body still weak, but her eyes clearer than ever. Yeah, he said honestly. I am. The child looked down at her small, glowing hands. So am I. David leaned closer. Do you know what they put inside you? The child nodded slowly. I hear them, sometimes, when I sleep. David frowned. What do they say? She hesitated. Then whispered, they say I belong to them. That was the moment David made his decision. He wouldn't let this child go back to her creators. And he wouldn't let Earth become their test ground. She didn't choose this. She didn't want this, but now he would choose for both of them. He began his plan that very night. He mapped the corridors of the ship in his mind. He traced where the signal room was, where the escape pods were stored, where the ship's I-core was located, and then he built a small transmitter from scrap, hidden in the lining of his jacket. Thought it was weak, but strong enough to send one message through the cracks in alien. Security. He waited for the alien mother to leave. When she did, he slipped into the signal chamber, the brain of the ship. With shaking hands, he connected his transmitter. A soft red light blinked. Recording. This is David Ross, he whispered. Human, engineer. Currently held aboard an alien ship. Critical warning. A weapon is coming, hidden inside a child who doesn't want to be used. He paused. She's not their tool. She's someone else now. Maybe someone better. I don't know if I can stop what's coming, but I'm going to try. He tapped send and prayed. Back in the healing chamber, the child was awake again. She stared at him with those glowing, scared eyes. David sat beside the pod and placed a hand on the glass. "I'm going to help you," he said softly. "Not because they asked me to, but because you deserve to live free." The child whispered just 2 words, "Help me." And David smiled for the first time in days. "I will." Space folded Dot just for a second. From the outside, the alien ship seemed to glide through the dark like a ghost. But inside, reality cracked. David Ross dropped to one knee, clutching his head. He wasn't hurt, but something had entered his mind. Something that didn't belong. It was cold Dot, old Dot, and awake Dot in the healing pod. The child screamed, not with her mouth, but through frequency. A sound that bypassed ears and went straight to. The soul Dot David looked up. The device inside her chest had changed. Dot, it no longer pulsed. Like a heart, Dot, it now blinked. Like an eye, Dot, watching, Dot, scanning, Dot, targeting, Dot, alarms blared. Not human alarms, but strange warbling tones in the walls of the ship. Lights flickered, shadows stretched in unnatural ways. The ship itself seemed scared. David stumbled toward the control room, but the alien mother was already there. She wasn't glowing this time. She was burning. Her body crackled with energy. Her voice was layered, as if more than one being was speaking through her. "You touched the signal core?" she said. David stood tall. It was already awake. I just listened. "You've doomed us," she hissed. "They know where we are now." David stepped forward. "Tell me, no more lies. What is that thing inside her?" The mother trembled. Then her fire faded. Her voice softened. "They call it a seed mind," she said. "A piece of a god." David blinked. A god? No," she corrected. "Not a god. Something older. Something made." "A machine," David guessed. She nodded. "Built by a species so advanced they forgot how to die. They uploaded themselves into devices, into time itself. The seed minds were scattered across galaxies. To wait, to grow, to awaken inside children like her." David felt sick. "You stole her," he said slowly. "Yes," the mother said. "I found her in their vault, still growing, not yet complete. I took her before they could finish." David turned to the wall, staring at the stars. "You thought you could change her," he whispered. "Make her yours. I hoped love would be stronger than code." But now the code was winning. The device had activated Dot, and far, far away, something massive had turned its attention toward them. David walked back to the healing chamber. The child was floating again, silent, but no longer weak. Her eyes were glowing brighter than ever, and not just silver. They were blue. "Human blue? Do you know who you are?" David asked her. She blinked, then nodded. "I remember both," she said softly. "Them and me." David knelt beside her. "Then you have a choice." She looked afraid. "They're calling me. You don't have to answer." Her voice cracked. "If I don't, they'll destroy everything." David took her small hand through the glass. Then, "We fight," he said. "Together?" The stars were no longer still. From the window of the alien ship, David saw it. A ripple tearing through the darkness. It wasn't light. It wasn't a ship. It was something coming. Reality itself was folding in its path. And at the center of it all was the child. She floated quietly in her pod. Her tiny hands curled at her chest. Her eyes glowing with a storm of color. Silver. Blue. And deep burning red. Her body shook gently. Not in fear, in conflict. Inside her, 2 minds were now fighting. One, born of machines. Cold, infinite. The other, soft, fragile. Human. David stood alone beside her. A simple man in a war between gods and ghosts. He pressed his hand against the glass. "You don't have much time," he whispered. "They want to finish what they started." The ship groaned around him. Systems were shutting down. Gravity flickered. The alien mother lay collapsed in the next room, drained by trying to fight the incoming force. And now, it was all up to the child. She opened her eyes. "They're inside me," she said softly. David nodded. But you're inside you too. The lights dimmed dot and then a voice filled the ship. Not from speakers dot from everywhere. Surrender the seed. Complete the cycle. We will overwrite. David stepped in front of the pod. Not this one, he growled. She's not yours anymore. The voice responded with silence. Then a new sound. A rising hum, like time vibrating. David looked at the child. Her glow was rising. Or whatever she had was splitting open. And at the center, the device, still pulsing, still waiting for a choice. Tears rolled down her face. I don't want to hurt anyone, she said. But if I stay, I'll always be dangerous. David stared at her. A child, no older than 10, holding the weight of a machine god in her chest. I know, he whispered. But you are not just a weapon. You are a person. You are my friend. She looked at him, and smiled. One last time. Then she reached inside. Herself, with a soundless cry, her light exploded. Not outward. Collapsing the signal. Crushing. The code. Shattering the connection. The machine's presence. Vanished. The stars stilled again. The ripple was gone. Space was silent. David gasped for breath. The light burning his eyes. He ran to the pod. Heart pounding. Smoke rose. Lights flickered. He wiped the glass with shaking hands. She was there. Still. Silent. Alive. And her eyes were only blue. Behind him. The alien mother spoke weakly. She chose. David turned to her. No, he said. She became. Sometime later, the ship returned David to his home. No reward. No glory. Just the memory of a child who saved a galaxy by choosing to be more than what she was built to be. A message arrived days after. No words. Just a soft voice. Thank you, Father.